Virtual summits are the most powerful online marketing tool available to grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and create an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. If you are ready to take your summit to the next level, then tune into the Virtual Summit Podcast with Dr. Mark T. Wade.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software and creator of the One Day Summit Formula. And I'm on a mission to help you, the summit host, get your summit out to the world in a powerful and impactful way. So let's get started. Hey, Summit host, Dr. Mark T. Wade here, founder of Virtual Summit Software, your host on the Virtual Summit Podcast. We are in for a treat on today's episode. We're going to be diving into a couple specific topics from the perspective of a summit speaker. We've got legendary Rachel Ingham with us here today. How you doing, Rachel?
So good. How are you?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for today's episode. We're going to have a blast. We're going to be picking Rachel's brain on some specific information around speaking on summits, some of the things that maybe some of us summit hosts could be doing a little bit better. And we're going to be wrapping up with some really awesome information on how you could use Pinterest with your summit. So make sure you stay with us all the way to the end. Now, Rachel, before we jump into this amazing goodness that we're going to be talking about today, I would love for you to share with our summit host just a little bit more about yourself.
Yeah. So short version, I'm assuming. I grew up in Chicago, got my master's in social work, lived in Africa, ended up broke on food stamps, negative $400 in our checking account, started a network marketing business, took that to 6 figures out of desperation and couldn't find a job. That company was restructured. My income was cut in half and kind of forced me to start something else. So I started this business August of 2017, built it while we were living in France, and we scaled to multiple 6 figures in 7 months and did over $1 million in less than 2 years. And it's been really cool to see some of our students just crushing it with Pinterest and their blog and lead generation and all that stuff.
That's just incredible. And I love those kind of from rags to riches stories and the lessons learned. Those are incredible. So now you've spoken on a few summits now at this point. Why don't you take us back to maybe one of the most recent ones? And I'd like to also say which one of your favorite ones. Just give us a little bit of experience on why those stand out to you.
I've been in like 20 of them, I want to say. Like, I feel like I've been in quite a few over the past couple of years. One of my favorites was with Christina Gendali. She did Scaling for Passive Profits. And that was when this business was newer. So it was almost 2 years ago, I want to say. I loved that one just because she got some really good experts on there. And she did a great job of the interview. So she really understood my expertise was in Pinterest, and she did a great job preparing for it and then asking specific questions about that. And then it was also a great list build for me because she asked, like, where can we get your freebie? She really talked about my freebie a lot and kind of played it up and told people to go take action, go get my freebie. So I remember just getting so many people on my email list and selling a ton of our baby offers after that summit.
I love to ask this question because it helps us kind of get an idea from a speaker's perspective, like what's a good process. So let's dig into that a little bit deeper. Walk us through this process, one of when either she outreached to you or maybe you contacted her about the summit. How did that onboarding process go from your perspective as a speaker? Like what really stood out, what was great, and maybe what could have been fine-tuned a little bit more?
So she reached out to me. We had a mutual connection. So she established that mutual connection and then talked about the summit. She played up the benefit of what would be in it for me. And then she shared some of the big names that would be in the summit. So it actually got me excited since I was newer in this business that I would be a part of something with people that I had looked up to in my industry.
Excellent there. And so from that aspect right there, just kind of the initial outreach since she reached out to you, let's contrast that with maybe kind of a not so great experience and like walk us through that aspect.
I feel like I get them every day now, where I get an email in my inbox. It's a super generic, just copy and pasted email. And it doesn't really talk about me at all or my expertise or what value I could add. It's just basically what they send to everyone else. And I could totally tell it's copy and pasted. One, it's super generic. Two, the formatting is off. So you can tell like they haven't really done their research or haven't spent any time to get to know me. It's kind of like when someone requests to be on the podcast, you can tell it's been completely copy and pasted.
Calling all Summit hosts. Calling all Summit hosts. I want you to join me and my tribe of Summit All-Stars at our in-person conference called Summit Fest Live, where you'll walk away with implementable strategies to rock out your summit, increase your revenues, and make connections that will last a lifetime. Come join us in New Orleans and let the good times roll. Get more information at summitfestlive.com.
Well, walk us through that. How's that make you feel as a speaker when you see this kind of pre-templated thing? What goes through your mind? What do you think of that person? I mean, like, let's unpackage that a little bit so our summit hosts know what's going on in the mind of a speaker.
That it wouldn't be worth my time at all. Like that person isn't professional and they probably wouldn't get the best people on the summit. And so it would, because if I'm going to do something like that, obviously I want to add value to that person's summit, but also selfishly, it's taking time out of my schedule and it's a promotion that I have to send out to my email list. And so I also need to know there's something that's going to be in it for me and they have their stuff together enough for me to know that. Another thing is if they email me and they want me to be on their summit that's happening next week. Because we plan out our promotions like months in advance. And if you want to get on our calendar, like it's not going to happen. Even if it's like a month in advance, you got to give me more notice.
I mean, this is such great insight right there. One, the foresight that needs to happen. I mean, I see this happen so much right now with summit hosts. One, the templated, the last minute, I mean, or trying to rush a summit. And we can feel that too. And nobody wants to be a part of a summit that's not successful. So we got to show and show up. So what does that actually feel or look like? Like walk us through an ideal outreach scenario. When somebody sends an email to ask you to be on a summit, what would you want to see or what would you want to hear in that email?
I would want to know that the summit is kind of congruent with what I have to offer, what I teach, and they might have done a little bit of background on me and they know that I could add value in that particular subject. I would also like to know, ideally, that we have a mutual connection and it's not completely out of the blue of I was just Googling people and stumbled across you. So I think having a mutual connection would really help and just be more personal of I have been following your podcast or I went through your course or, something where I know they actually know who the heck I am and how we could really work together and help each other.
Are you interested in knowing like what's required and the benefits right then, or is this more just like an established connection first?
I would like to know dates right off the bat because I don't want to go back and forth on email and being like, what are the dates, yada, yada. I would like to know what the dates are just to know right off the bat if it would work for our promotional calendar.
And summit speakers are kind of divided down the line on this. I'm curious where you would fall. So would you like to hop on a pre-call, a pre-chat with the summit host or not? And if not, why?
Because I'm busy and that's just like taking up 20 to 30 minutes of my time. And I don't want to waste it doing that. I'll get on the interview and I could give you some like particular topics that we could talk about, but I feel like the host should do their own due diligence and do a little bit of research and not take more of that person's time.
Excellent. So this is an interesting question because I see summit speakers go on both sides like, hey, don't just pull me on there. We've never talked before, never had any information where, I kind of sit with you as like my time is limited. I can handle most of it or my team can handle most of it through an email. But there's two sides to that. I like to actually offer the speakers the opportunity to do either or. Would you like me to just continue to follow up with email or would you like to hop on a call, which none of us really like to do anymore, but it's there.
Right.
So with that, let's move forward in that process. So you've had the outreach. Let's refer back to the ideal, your favorite summit that you were part of. You've now been kind of clarified. You've gone through, okay, you're now going to be on the summit. What was kind of the follow-up in preparation for the interview? How was that? And what was any kind of pointers from there?
Well, so she did a good job of asking about what we wanted the topics to be about and any particular questions that we wanted to talk about. So when we got on the interview, I knew what to expect on the direction that we were going to go through. She also made sure to ask like what my freebie was. Did I have a free offer that I wanted to promote? So she made sure to highlight that as well.
And then when you got onto the interview, okay, so you hopped on there, was there any kind of pre-interview chat? And then was it a traditional Q&A?
So there was a little bit of pre-interview chat. She was very busy going back to back with her interviews. So maybe just like a few minutes. And then it was very much Q&A. She had done her homework. She was prepared. She knew what questions to ask. So it was really easy from my perspective.
So have you been on a summit where the host didn't seem prepared and didn't talk us through how you knew that, how that felt? Like, let us know about that.
They just didn't know what questions to ask at all. And it was super generic. So typically if someone wants to have me on, I've been asked for a few different topics. So it might be Pinterest and like helping with that, but it also might be like faith in business or women in leadership. Those are the ones that I typically get asked a lot about. And if they haven't done their homework, they just know what questions to ask, and it feels kind of awkward, to be quite honest. And I feel like they need to be that person that's leading that interview.
And so with that, when you walk away from that summit session, that interview session, are you excited to promote that? Are you still going to promote it? Or like
probably not. Yeah, probably not. If it wasn't a good interview, and I know based off of that, I can assume the rest of the interviews aren't going to be very good, then why would I want to send my audience to go check that out? You know, like that's not going to build trust with them.
So we can establish here the quality of the interview that host has with you has a huge impact on whether or not you're actually going to promote it to your audience.
For sure. Yeah.
Excellent. So now as we move past the interview, let's talk in the follow-up. Like let's talk on like positive right now. What's an ideal scenario? You finish the interview, the summit's coming up. How do you want that to be? What does that look like as far as getting you the deliverables and getting you ready to promote?
I think it'd be easy just to have everything in one email, not like a bunch of emails back and forth so everything gets lost. So one where you just like, hey, here are the emails that you can send to your list. Here are some promotional things, but ideally they're not expecting me to post on social media on my own, and they're going to tag me when that interview is live so I can just share it super easily. I think just keeping it so simple for the person. One of the big things that kind of annoyed me is if that person is hunting me down, making sure I'm promoting on specific dates. And so just being clear, these are like, I'm promoting once or twice or whatever the agreement was, these are my dates, and then we're good. But if they're going to keep following up with me, I feel like I'm being hounded.
Be sure to check out the speaker management tool inside your virtual summit software, which lets you quickly and easily recruit and manage your speakers on your virtual summit, literally eliminating hundreds of hours of work. Get more information at virtualsummits.com.
So do they normally establish in advance the dates that you're going to promote, or is it just
Exactly. They should, not always.
So establishing dates that are going to be promoted, and then obviously seeing that the promotions are happening, making it super simple for you as a speaker to get access to your information. And then how much visibility do you want as a speaker? Like, do you want to know how's the summit doing? How frequently would you like to know that? Like, what is your aspect on that?
It would be nice to know like list building and that kind of thing. It would be cool too, actually, if they did some kind of contest, like list building contest, because I know we do that like in affiliate launches, and I'm kind of competitive. So if they did that, I'd be more likely to promote, to be honest. But I mean, you don't need to send me like a million follow-up emails, just like one, oh, the summit was great. This is what happened. Thank you for being a part of it, that kind of thing.
And what are some of when you've done the affiliate contest, the leadership the leaderboards, those type of contests, which I love. I think they bring a lot of great energy to any kind of launch or summit. Let's talk through one of those, because that may be a new concept for some of our summit hosts here. So explain what that concept is, that contest, and then kind of what that would look like.
So I don't even think I've done one with a summit before. I think it's just been with affiliate launches. But so it's been like, how many leads did you generate based off of that? So, I was a part of like Amy Porterfield's launch, and based off of my stats, she gave out like lead bonuses. And so she'd keep like a spreadsheet and told everyone where they were on the leaderboard, like the top 10, top 20, encourage them. And then if you ranked a certain level, you actually got paid, which was pretty sweet. And then obviously sales for the affiliate launch, but that would be a cool addition, I think. And that would get me more excited to participate for sure.
And how did they display that? How did they let you know? Kind of like take us into some details of that. I assume the summit hosts have never seen one of these before, how they could actually put that on for you.
Yeah, so they had a Facebook group for us as affiliates and via email. And so in that Facebook group, I mean, Amy Porterfield is like, her team is super top notch, right? So she knows her stuff. She had someone that was actually taking over the affiliate launch on her team. And so they would be in there literally every day. They had a leader, I forget what I think it was like an Infusionsoft where we could see how many leads we had generated each day. And so we would know where we were if we like set goals for ourselves of how many we wanted to get. And then pretty much every day, I think they would be in that Facebook group and then tagging everyone that was on that leaderboard and celebrating and just making it fun. And then Amy herself would be going in that Facebook group, going live and talking about like the stats and actually saying everyone's name that was in the top 10, giving people shout outs. And that just makes like when people hear their name like that, especially from like Amy Porterfield, who's kind of a big deal, you know, it just makes you feel kind of special.
And then in addition, I'm assuming they gave some cash prizes, some bonuses, but did they give any other prizes outside of cash?
I don't think so. I think it was all cash bonuses.
So we've done several near 7-figure launches in a couple of my other companies. And some of the best things we've had in addition to cash is we'd give the option. We'd have like first place, you can have, 10 grand or this bonus, and having just a unique variety and also kind of knowing your affiliates as well and putting some fun prizes in there. I remember one time we had an entire, like what's the word? It's like official Darth Vader full suit. It was like a $3,000 full Darth Vader suit. And everybody was vying for this one guy who we all knew was a Star Wars guy to actually get that place so he could have that Star Wars suit. And it kind of created the community, like you were saying, everybody was rallying behind it. So getting creative, cool. Cash is cool, but also fun bonuses.
Yeah, when I was in Christina Gendali's affiliate launch, she did cash, but she also did first place gets to stay at her second house in Palm Springs. And then she also did where she donated to our favorite charity of choice. So that was pretty cool too.
Oh, that's another great one. I love that one when they donate to the charity of choice. So this is some amazing kind of concepts right there. I want to kind of switch a little bit and dive into a little bit of your expertise and kind of unpackage an area that I don't think is being used enough or adequately in the summit space, which is Pinterest. So if we can kind of talk us through a little bit of concepts with Pinterest first up, because hand raised over here, open, admittedly, I don't know a whole lot about it. I do not use it regularly. And let's assume maybe some of our listeners are in that same boat. So unpackage that, and then we'll get into some strategies of using it.
Yeah. So Pinterest is a search engine. So it's different than like Instagram or Facebook. It's not just a social media platform, which makes it really powerful. So if you can understand what people are searching for on the platform and you're using those keywords in your pin descriptions when you upload a pin, then that pin can be found. And so that pin could then drive traffic to a blog post that you want to highlight. So that's kind of like the beginning stages. So you want to know it's a search engine. People are actively on the platform searching for stuff. And so get inside their head, think what's a long tail keyword that they're searching for. So if I were to do a summit on leadership, I wouldn't probably just use the word leadership because that might be a little too broad. So it might be more specific, like women in leadership or business women in leadership might be that long tail keyword that I would use. And I would make sure to create a pin description that's conversational because you're speaking to humans, but you're weaving in those keywords as well.
Pin description that's conversation, long tail keywords. So tell us about the content that needs to go on this though with a pin. It's different than just...
Yeah, so the pin itself is really important and you can create this in Canva. and it's free. It's really easy to use. They literally have a Pinterest template that you can just click it and it's the right dimension for Pinterest. So that pin itself, you want it to have big, bold text on it. You don't want it to have like fancy text or like script that's really hard to read. So that text should be big and bold, and it should really catch your eye and have some bright colors in it. And so I call it like it should be stop the scroll worthy. So literally you could open up Pinterest and just start scrolling and see what kind of pins grab your attention. And those should be the kind of pins that you should create. So it might be, I like for an example, I might just create a pin and it might just say Women in Leadership Summit, something like that. And you could test it and have it just be the text on it. And then you could test one that has maybe the images of the speakers of the summit that are on it as well.
So when we are creating these Pinterest, and let's go through this strategy. If we're going to be using this for our summit, let's say we've got our summit coming up in 90 days and we're wanting to drive traffic to it. And we're going to be using other platforms, but right now let's focus on Pinterest. What would be a strategy that you would use to drive traffic through that platform?
What I would do is come up with a blog post series. And so maybe it's a series of 4 different blog posts that are teaching about that topic that you're going to cover in the summit. So again, if we're going with that leadership topic, it might be different blog posts related to women in leadership. And you're going to add value in those blog posts. They should be good quality blog posts. And then within that blog post, you could mention that summit. And you could have definite call to actions where if you enjoyed this, make sure to save your spot for our Women in Leadership Online Summit. You could even have the pop-up on your blog post be for that summit as well.
With the Ever Summit feature inside the Virtual Summit software, you can rerun your summit as if it were live, ongoing forever with one click of a button. This now lets you continue to use your summit forever, bringing in qualified and engaged leads every month into your business. Get more information at virtualsummit.com.
Ooh, that's good. So let's actually give even more specific of an example. We're doing a leadership summit.
Yeah.
And we're going to do 4 blog post series. What would you come up with? What would you do the blog post around, and then give us let's do one blog, and then what would we create the pins to that?
So maybe one blog could be like top 5 books about women in leadership. So list posts do really well. List posts, how to post, that kind of thing. But one easy one could be top 5 books or top 5 podcasts about women in leadership.
And then from there, we're going to create pins.
Yep. So I would you're going to have one pin that would be on that blog post itself. And you could use a plugin like Social Warfare, and you can create that pin description and have it on the back end of your blog. So someone could literally just hit pin it, and it's going to automatically populate with the pin description that you created when they pin it on Pinterest, which is pretty cool. And I would create at least 5 different pins per blog post that you could then upload onto Pinterest. So you're getting more content bang for your buck.
And then how would you diversify those pins? Is there any
you could change the headlines. So you could create different headlines and test those. You could also create different backgrounds. So like I said, you could have one that's just a plain background, maybe one that has color on it. You could change the colors, one that has images of the speakers. Just kind of switch it up and see what really starts to convert the best.
Would there be any strategy or advantage to trying to do different keywords for the different pins?
You totally could. So you could switch up the keywords per pin. You could switch up the keywords per blog post as well.
And then with the Pinterest, with those pins, how long they stay, since it's a search engine, they stay valid ongoing. So if we were using our Ever Summit,
it could be years. I'm literally still driving traffic to my fitness blog from stuff I did April 2015, which is crazy.
Is there any kind of top strategy, easy or quick strategy you could give us to help ensure that those pins perform well?
Definitely make sure you've done keyword research. That's one of the first things. Second thing, use Tailwind. That's going to help you reach more people. Tailwind is a Pinterest scheduling app, and you could join Tailwind tribes, which is a way for you to collaborate with other pinners on the platform. And that's going to be a way to get your pins in front of more people and just getting more visibility.
Oh, I like that. So as we start to wrap up this episode, let's go back into the perspective as a summit speaker for our summit hosts here. And like, what's one kind of top takeaway that you think they need to know when they're reaching out to talk or recruit a summit speaker?
Put yourself in the shoes of that speaker and ask, how would you like to be reached out to? I think that's the biggest thing.
One of our recent or previous guests, Tad, he said, always assume that and he was a summit speaker. He said, always assume when you're reaching out to your summit speakers that they're on the verge of a nervous breakdown. If you just treat everybody like that,
Yeah.
you'll have an amazing summit. I thought that was very comical.
That too. I think another one is also follow up. So if you send me one email and I don't get back to you right away, that doesn't mean no. It could just mean I forgot or your email got lost or something like that. So I would follow up a few times.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, Rachel, this has been absolutely phenomenal. I'd love for you to kind of wrap us out here real quick. I'm sure our summit hosts are like, well, how can I go learn more about Rachel? How can I follow her, how can I pin her or whatnot? So let our summit hosts know where you're hanging out at and the best way to get in touch with you.
Yeah. So we have the podcast, the She's Making an Impact podcast. And then our blog is shesmakinganimpact.com. And then we have a free Pinterest cheat sheet that's going to kind of dive in deeper to those strategies. You can just go to pinwithrachel.com.
Excellent. So kind of wrap us out here with one final parting piece of wisdom.
I'm going to go for no. So reach out to the people that you're afraid to reach out to, because if you don't ask, the answer is always no.
Love it. Thank you so much, Rachel. This has been absolutely incredible.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you, all you summit hosts, for hanging out with Rachel and I on this episode. I'm Dr. Mark T. Wade, founder of Virtual Summit Software. And remember, your message matters. So go out there and make an impact. And don't forget to check out all the amazing goodies Rachel just gave us over in the show notes at podcast.virtualsummits.com/105. And we'll see you on the next episode.
Thanks for listening. Now don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star review on the Virtual Summit podcast. Head over to the show notes to check out all the links and resources from this episode, and be sure to grab your free trial of the Virtual Summit software.
Now, I want to end this episode by saying to all the summit hosts listening right now, I believe in you, and you can do this. Summits are by far one of the most powerful ways to quickly grow your list, launch your platform, make more money, and most importantly, make an impact in the world, even if you're just getting started. So don't get caught up in analysis paralysis, because the world needs to hear your message, and there are people who are waiting for you to help them. So just get started, because imperfect action is always better than no action. Thank you, and see you on the next episode.